Hi, everybody. So, welcome to another installment of Unpopular Review. Today, we are going to be talking about the final movies. Well, the final two movies, because we're doing it all in one because we're fans of the books, and that's how the book had it. So that's how we're going to do it. So, of Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2. So today, we are going to have the beautiful and ever so talented Katrina.
Welcome.
Hey, what's up?
And
you were talking about Katrina? When you said beautiful and ever so talented, I automatically thought you were talking about me. My mistake.
Not yet. But welcome anyway. The beautiful and also talented.
And excellent and awesome and wonderful and fantastic. Yeah. You got to make sure you use the right.
Not all
egotistical catch. She already introduced you. I don't know why you're trying to introduce yourself again. That's not good. Look, hey, I have waited for this episode for 4 weeks because it's finally over. We have reached the twilight of Twilight.
Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn.
Yes, I'm almost inside. Breaking Dawn. So what we got going on? What's up with this movie and all that good stuff? I won't be here long, but I decided to grace everybody with my presence because people want to see. Yeah, people want to listen. What's up, John? Make sure you address me first. That's polite.
So anyway, the movie Breaking Dawn, the first one came out in 2011, and the following one came out in 2012. They had the same director. I wonder what his name was. I know his last name was Corden or something like that. He's the same guy who did Chicago, and he did another movie that was pretty good. But Dreamgirls. So it's Bill Corden, and he's the same director. Again, came out 2011, 2012, and let's talk about it.
So I think for what I looked at, because I just rewatched them just to be more fresh with the movie, since I normally do watch it at least once a month. Normally I try to, just because the marathons on TV, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it, so I watch it. Even if I had the DVDs. So I do know, I think they filmed both parts at one time. I think like one of the behind the scenes, Jasper was saying that sometimes when they film something from the part 2, they had to remember that when they was doing part 1, that like it to us, it didn't technically happen yet, to make sure it showed in their expressions and stuff, whatever. So I think they filmed it like 6 to 8 months in one time, and then just broke the movie up. So which actually makes sense, as far as like,
especially because they were starting to age. Like Edward, he was looking like a grown ass man by the time. Like, what
he definitely was, though. He definitely aged about a good like 6 years in those couple of years. Like, bro, what happened? Like, even though Jacob technically, aged properly because he was not undead or anything, so it worked for him. But yeah, the Cullens was you watching them looking older, and you're like, guys, this is
this is a grown ass man.
Like, that no longer working. So yeah. So in the first part, we start off with Bella preparing for the wedding, which was like a really big thing. I want to say more so for Edward, because Edward was so like old fashioned and wanted to have like my wife, and I thought it was, at least the whole garden vibe they had for the wedding was because they were sparkly. I'm gonna assume. I mean, it was very pretty. Personally, I'd probably be dead with all that pollen. Just, that's too much pollen for me. I would be a whole mess. Like, if that was me at that wedding and all them flowers and trees. But I feel like they did it because there's the whole they sparkle thing, which I felt like they got a lot more lax about the sparkling once time went by. Because, like, at least in the first movie, like, it legit was always cloudy, it was always rainy, it was always gray. But it felt like by the time it got to Eclipse, it's like, wow,
it was all out the door, all out the
there's
window.
some sunlight, and he ain't sparkling. And even though there was a lot of flowers, there were still scenes of sunlight that somebody with all the vampires there should have sparkled. And that one sparkle. And I was like, all right, guys, there's a group of there's like 20 people right there. 20 people are vampires, not one sparkled. And I was just like, so we just, okay, I guess they don't matter anymore in the movie. Okay, cool, guys. And I know they did introduce the Denali clan, which was Edward's cousins, a little late. They introduced a lot earlier on in the books, which I wasn't sure why they waited so long to introduce them into the movie.
These girls, right?
Yeah, the Denalis, the blondes, and then the lady, the brown hair, and the guy. Yeah, they were their cousins. They got introduced way before Breaking Dawn, but for some reason they pushed it back to Breaking Dawn. I'm not sure why. But yeah, so they're getting ready for the wedding, which I thought was really nice. That it showed Bella seemed nervous, even though she was always awkward and nervous anyway. To have her with Alice, with Rosalie, and they seemed like they were bonding, like a nice bonding sister moment. I did like the it looked genuine with the parents, with Renee and Charlie. I felt generally that they was really giving their daughter away, like, you're getting married, you're not a little girl anymore. And to me, that was very genuine. I felt that was like one of my favorite parts was watching Charlie in his tux. And then like, she was like, don't let my hand go. And he was like, never, like, it was just that really nice father-daughter moment. And like, even though they've obviously gotten closer over the series, considering she was gone from Charlie for all them years, and then she just kind of popped back up. And only she was there, honestly, she stayed because of Edward. Let's be real. She only stayed with Charlie because of Edward. So that scene, I that was actually a favorite scene of mine, just because it seemed very genuine. With her and Charlie before he kind of gave her away. The wedding was nice. Actually, I think before the wedding, it was a dream of her getting married, and she was kind of worried about it was going to kill everybody because she was kind of a vampire. It was like that kind of thing, which I thought was a nice imagery. It looked them on the white and then all the bloody bodies. And I thought it was a nice image. The director did that pretty well. So yeah, they get married, they have like this really long kiss, and they have like the after party, the reception, where like all the family members and friends are like giving messages and stuff. This is what made me remember why Jessica, Anna Kendrick, was flaky, because she was like giving a speech. She was like, even though I was the captain of the volleyball team, and I'm like, sis, is that about you?
It's always about her. Like, I think girls like that.
Like, what are you talking about? Everyone was worried about you because you're like the captain of the volleyball team. And she kept like, I was like, this is at her wedding, and here you are making it about you. And then even when she was like, was Bella pregnant? I was like, so you were assuming that it was a pregnant marriage, like, oh, she's pregnant, let's get married. I'm like, as if you didn't realize Bella was like super extra about Edward from book one. Like, she was like super extra about.
But we gotta remember though, these are like teenagers. They're like 17-year-olds. So I guess, but yeah, Jessica is like one of those girls that always talk about herself. Everything's about her. I can't stand girls like that. But
yeah, very flaky and like very self-centered, very flaky. So I thought it was nice to have the little speeches they had. Her mom like singing the lullaby, which is really weird. Like it was like embarrassing weird, but it was like, okay, mom, not do this. And then when dad was like, I'm a cop and I'll hunt you down if you hurt my daughter. So I thought that was all like really nice, very like stereotypical type of responses for it. But I thought it was pretty I thought it was pretty cool to like kind of finally see like this was all of it was for this wedding, and like you finally get the one. Edward got the one thing he's kind of been wanting since like movie 2 is when he asked her, movie 2. So it's nice to see. I thought the dress was pretty cool. Stephanie Meyers had her little appearance in the audience with Seth, so I thought it was pretty awesome. And then honeymoon time. So it was funny that she seemed so nervous when it was supposed to be like the first time. Like she was like I don't know what she was shaving. That annoyed me because I'm like, what are you shaving? Like they shoot her putting and she's like nothing on her, no hair. So I'm like, what are you shaving? You're shaving skin.
Because he's a vampire, and that's one of the things I was thinking about when I was reading the book. And I was thinking like, yo, if you're dating a vampire, he has super sight and super everything. So he's literally seeing every follicle of hair on your face. Like if you're hairy like me, like I have really long sideburns, everything, he would literally see all your little mustache. So she's probably like hyper vigilant. She's like, she's shaving every day because Edward to see all that, and I don't blame her. Like, do what you gotta do.
She was like putting water on her arms. I'm like, sis, what are you doing? Like, if you want to take a shower, take a shower. She just put some water in. I'm like, this is not how you wash, sis. This is not it. Like she like maybe take a shower if it's that deep. You like splash your water here. It was just really like I thought it was really funny, awkward, and then to have them in the in the water scene when she decided to go with him like skinny dip, and it was weird because he looked all pale in the water, and it just really bothered me because I'm just like. Edward, like you look really sickly right now, but I guess
this is not the man we paid money to see naked. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, that's literally like it's just, he's all pale and sickly looking, and I'm just like, bro, no, like, can we just switch you off with Jacob? I don't even want it, but so I thought the first time was pretty cool. Not cool like in like I was waiting, but just like it was. I felt it was a genuine reaction for her, like because she was so awkward and stuff, and then she kind of waited for it, so it was just like. Okay, you finally got it. Breaking bed. I feel like that's like the one. Like, if you can get some kind of action when the bed is broken, I'm gonna say that's probably some good stuff. That's all I'm saying. Like, if bread's breaking.
But remember in Twilight 1, like he was so cautious with her. He was like, look, even when he tried to kiss, he was like, look, don't move, because I don't know what I'm about to do to you, pretty much. And then he's literally banging the hell out of her in this scene that he breaks the fucking bed.
I guess he probably threw it out the window, but this is my wife now, I can do whatever.
Right.
Because he really was not giving, like, the bed definitely broke, like, about, I would say, like, 2-3 pumps in, and the bed just broke.
So, you know what that means?
Well, okay,
you know what that means? I would put all that force into that little penis he probably has, because if he's doing all of that, and he has all this power, and Bella's still, like, alive and moving the next day, he has a little pecker. That's what it is.
The only thing I hate after they woke up, yeah, I'm gonna say that that's probably what it was, because it seemed like it went quickly. And I feel like at least if it did, it make us be like, all right, there was something going on that it lasted longer than it looked like it lasted. You know, I'm just saying. I hated after when he woke up and saw that she was bruised, and he was just so about it. And I'm just like, bro, you already knew what it was. This is very, at least in the books they described that vampire sex is supposed to be very rough, crazy sex. So you already knew what you possibly could do to her. Why she's telling you like I'm fine? She didn't even notice it was there. Like, and then he like,
wasn't working with nothing.
So he like they had sex the one time, and then he pretty much denied it the whole time they was there. And I think she said implied they were there for 14 days, 15 days after the wedding. So for 14 days, you were just like, nah. And that personally, Edward must have wanted to be like beheaded, because don't do that, bro. Like, if I finally did the one thing you asked me to do is to marry ass, and because I wanted some, and now I'm trying to get some, you're like, no. Let's play some
problem.
Yes. Like I'm trying to put a board games. Like, bro, let's stop playing. So I was a little annoyed by that for Bella. I was annoyed because I was like, so this is you did all this waiting to finally become his wife because that's what he wanted, and then he don't give you properly. Like, okay. So after that, it was pretty much her finding out she was pregnant. My issue, like before she threw up, was when she was making that chicken. I was so annoyed by that. So much so with the chicken, because one, she used no seasoning, and that annoyed me just as a like. So you just put chicken in the pan, and you don't put no flour, you don't put no salt, pepper, or something. Season. She just do that.
He ain't eating it. He ain't eating it, and she don't like no kind of season. Remember in the first movie when she was fake putting that ketchup on, there wasn't no ketchup coming out the joint. She don't like her food to be too spicy with ketchup.
I was so bad, like girl, that chicken leg in there with no type of nothing. You just threw it in there, and it was just supposed to. Like, and then she like even before I guess she realized it. I was like, "You telling me you didn't realize the chicken wasn't uncooked? Like ruddy and bloody looking." And I'm just like, "You find nothing wrong with this." Even before you realized she was pregnant, this seemed normal to you. This is how you cook chicken. Like, I wouldn't eat your cooking personally. Just like
no.
That annoyed me because I was just like, so you're just gonna not season the chicken? You're not gonna see that it's not cooked well? Okay, I guess you know. So, like, what was your thoughts about like Edward's reaction? Like when she realized that's probably what it was, and she was like feeling stuff, like, oh, this is probably a baby in here. What was your thoughts about that?
What, when he didn't want the kid, right? Is that because he thought it would put her in danger, if I remember right? Because remember, I
like his whole face changed when she was like, "I think I'm pregnant," and like I guess Alice knew because she called like at that moment, and then Carlisle spoke to him, and she was like, "I think I'm pregnant," and he was like in shock. I felt like his whole face was like, "Wait, what?"
Okay, because that wasn't in my version. But I think that's a pretty legitimate reaction for like a new dad, and especially considering that they literally were both virgins before this before everything. So to find out that you just got married and you're with your girl of your dreams, whatever, you just banged her out, and next thing you know, she's pregnant. So I don't know why he would. My immediate reaction would be like, wow, but you know what? Another thing is because he thought he had no soul and all that, so maybe he was just surprised that he actually could get somebody pregnant. And he probably would have known this if he was, doing anything for the past 75 years, but he was just a shut-in and all of that. But
I wish they would explain it more in the movie. I know in the book it's explained that usually women vampires, at least, cannot have children.
Yeah.
So Rosalie was upset when Esme adopted because she died before she was able to have her own children. So with Edward, I don't know if he was like, oh, can I get people pregnant if vampire women can't get pregnant? Maybe that's probably, I could take that was probably in consideration, like, oh, well, how does she get pregnant if I'm not supposed to be able to? I'm a little curious though, like,
but out of the thousands of vampires in the thousands of years,
yeah, they imply these vampires have no blood. They're just like when they're broken, it's like they're like porcelain, like every time they show them break the vampires, it's like glass breaking. So, I'm curious that how if he has no blood, how the hell he has
an erection.
Like even get anybody pregnant when you don't even have blood flowing. To me, that's crazy. You need blood flowing for that to work properly. So,
you know what?
I'm really curious about like how did that work?
How did that happen? You know what? Cause that's probably the real reason why he never wanted to have sex with her at first, because he knew he had ED and he couldn't get it up because he can't. They don't have any blood. So you know what?
Curious about that. Like, don't you need blood flowing down there for that to even?
Yes.
Thing? Like, so. I'm not sure how that worked or how anything was able to get to whatever. How is this working properly?
Those poor animals.
I feel like now I'm
like
trying to see if I can find some information on that, because I'm just like seriously thinking about that now. How is that possible? Well, you're not supposed to have any more blood cells. They implied that it was just like nothing but a heart beating, I guess, to keep you guys technically alive, but there was nothing else. So I don't know. So I thought it was interesting. The lady, he got to ask like, what can you do to help her? The Spanish lady who kind of cleaned the house, because she knew they were vampires, and she was like, oh, you know, you guys are like demons, and you know, you're evil, even though he wasn't. And she was pretty much saying like the child had to be removed. So I felt like once they got back home, I feel like after the wedding and stuff, the rest of part 1 is solely her pregnancy, like her dealing with being pregnant, watching that she's getting sicker and sicker because she can't keep food. Like pregnant women can't keep food down, and that's a very real thing. But it was also worse because they couldn't see anything on the sonogram. They didn't know what it was. They couldn't look at the sac. Everything was like he completely blocked everything. So she was getting no food, no nutrients. She wasn't resting. She was always sick. And I feel like part 1
sucking her dry.
Yeah, it just was crazy that, you know, that's one of the reasons why it was like part 1. Like, I appreciated part 1. It was very long-winded with regards to her pregnancy, because it was literally the first after we got them to the Cullen's house, and she was there, and Jacob, you know, was like, what's happening? And I get Jacob was being extra too. He was being like mad extra. I think I forgot to mention that about the wedding, when she was like, you know, after we got married, you know, he didn't show up to the wedding, but he was there at the reception, and Edward made sure he was there. And that was really nice that, you know, he came anyway. But then here he goes with extra, like you.
No. But you know what? She is a cold-hearted bitch. Because how you want to invite this guy who you know for a fact is deeply in love with you, and you're going to invite him to your wedding? Like, what a horrible, mean, cold-hearted thing to do. I guess that's why I don't like Bella. How dare you?
Reaction when he got the invitation, he kind of just went in wolf face.
Stormed out.
This is why you were mad, because you got the invitation. I thought it was a very realistic reaction. Really, even after the eclipse, and even though she still was like, "Bro, it ain't you," and he was still like hoping. There was still a little bit of hope.
Yes.
That's not happening. So I felt like it was still real. Like, it was denial. Like, he just didn't accept that she really was with Edward. Like, it was that acceptance. So like after like the wedding and they had the dance, and then she was like, "Well, I'm gonna turn to a vampire." He got mad again. And, you know, I love Steph. Steph is like the nice little cool little brother who you just like, he's so nice to everybody, like super chill. Like, you want to play video games with him or something. I liked Steph, and I felt like I liked more that he was trying to be like with Jacob, like, you know, I'm with you, bro. You know, it's alright, calm down. I thought that was pretty cool. And the other wolves that came who liked Bella at least. But yeah, once they were there, I felt like Jacob was a little annoyed. He's like, you had this like demon thing inside you. And then with the other wolves, this was when Jacob, which I thought was important enough, Jacob finally established that he was the real alpha of the group. That was all in like part 1. So it was really nice to finally see Jacob be like, listen, Sam, no. Like, not gonna have to listen to you. And they wanted to go and kill Bella, and they was like, she's not important anymore because, you know, she made her choice. We don't have to worry about her anymore. But the baby,
Sam was plotting.
The baby could be a problem for everybody else, could be a problem for our people. So they was ready to kill her, and Jacob kind of had to like lie to make sure they was able to eat and prepare themselves for what could be in the battle. So I liked at the scene for me where Jacob was like, you know, he was the grandson of like a chief. That this is he wasn't born to follow, he was born to lead. And he established that he was actually technically, he should have been the leader of the pack, but in the book it explains he never really wanted that job. It was just like, you know, whatever. But I like that they established that this was Jacob kind of stepping on his own. Like, this is not about you anymore, Sam. I'm going to do what I feel like I need to do for me. And then Leah and Seth followed. So I thought that was pretty nice to finally see, like, Jacob not being so much of I don't want to say lackey, because that's not necessarily the right word. I feel like he always kind of disobeyed the wolves when it came to Bella anyway. But it was nice to see that, hey, Steven, it was pretty nice to see anyway that, you know,
that he stood up for himself. And
that he was just like, this is about me now. So, what were your thoughts about like the whole like pregnancy thing, like with regards to she got like really sickly looking, like
she got horrible. It's like, wow, they did a good job on that part because she really did look like she was like on her deathbed the whole time, and it made me never wanted to have kids. Like I've always been scared of like pregnancy and like giving birth, but the birthing scene and the other movie and the way she looked, I understand like it's a supernatural baby, but still, it scared the crap out of me when I saw it. But I thought it was interesting, and they explained it was one like piece at the beginning of the book saying how she would give her life for someone she loved or something like that, and that turned out to be the one she loved the most. Turned out to be her daughter, not necessarily Edward. It was her, so she would give her life for her daughter. So that was cute, but yeah, it was a scary thing.
yeah, the scene where that was Rosalie was helping to take a bath and she like took the robe off and then Edward saw the back and I was like,
yes, oh yeah, they did a great job.
Like
on
that was
part.
so like it looked like she was like anorexic, and this is nothing against anybody who has an eating disorder or anything, but it was like that looked like she literally was like malnourished. She was so skinny, and like you saw ribs, you saw a boat, like you just it was so that.
And I wonder how much of that did she actually lose weight a little bit for the role, or was that all like CGI?
I know from before when I watched behind the scenes special features, so they were saying I know like when she died, for instance, that was a dummy, so like. Like the scene where she's like laying on the bed before she's turned, like right after she gave birth, that was like a dummy portion. So and then they kind of like did a reverse to make it look alive again. But I'm as far as like the scenes where she was standing and stuff, I'm not even sure if it was her or if it was just like they were digitally altering it or did she actually lose weight, because that it was really sickly looking. Like she looked really sick. And I guess that was a nice way to say that the baby pretty much was like taking everything. Like, and then in a sense, as I am a mom, like when you're pregnant, your baby literally shares like everything, your nutrients and everything. And sometimes they say, "I'll take your beauty from you," like that type of thing. So I thought it was a really good like analogy to physically not like to see it like, oh, okay, this is a bit, like this is a lot. Like this baby is really like killing her slowly. Like it was like that kind of thing. What do you feel about when they realized that she needed blood to kind of like fill a little bit nutrients because it helped a bit, like would.
That's when that baby should have died after. It's like once you realize that, okay, this is a human mom and the baby is surviving off of blood. So this human mom has to drink blood in order to feed this demon baby. That's when they should have had a discussion about, look, this baby ain't, somebody should have like knocked Bella out and made it happen. But I guess it all worked out in the end, but still the fact that, Edward was kind of powerless in the situation because it's, it's her body. So she wanted to have the baby, but at the same time, she had no knowledge of this ever being successful with anybody else. So she could have just been killing herself and the baby died anyway, or it came out like, I don't know. But, that's what she wanted to do. So that's what they let her do. But yeah, it was gross. Like, yeah. And also the baby, she wanted to be around Jacob a lot more too, right?
Yeah, that I thought that was I guess the way the foreshadow if you was somebody who didn't read the book, but like the fact that she always wanted Jacob, but she seemed like she wanted him even more than before, which plays in the fact that in part 2 when there's like, oh, he imprinted. So like I thought it was cool. I felt like his reaction was pretty like dope. Not dope, but like it was realistic as a friend. Like this baby's like hurting you because this is before the baby was born, so you're just like watching your best friend and the person you love like dying slowly, because I felt like that's what it was. And there's no way I'm sitting and drinking blood. I don't care. Like that would have been it for me too. Like, you know what? We don't really need
right. What is really going on with this baby? That's what it would have been like. I would have been having nightmares and dreams. But yeah, exactly. Okay. She would have had a cute little brown baby.
And a wedding, where he could have had more than once and not that one night thing and then that's it. And everything fine. He would probably have fun properly, like you should have been having on her honeymoon. Yes. Then the nonsense.
And he doesn't have any ED or like small penis, I'm sure. It's like, I just like that with you later. We're talking about Twilight, sir.
So, we get to the, the fight. I'm assuming that at this point they think Bella's died when she's like to labor. So actually, I think this is okay. So right before that part, it's when she's deciding what the names are. And then she was like, if she had a boy, it would be Edward Jacob, which I was like, sis, you just doing some shit together because what the hell?
Right.
Like, you just put shit together. Like, what the hell is Edward? I get that you love Edward, you love Jacob, but I'm not just going to throw some shit together to my child just because, like, you know what? Here we go, guys.
What a slap in the face to Edward. How fucking dare you name our child after?
Exactly. Like, oh,
love
my first name, but he has Jacob's middle name. So it's just like, what? That is something. And then it's also on the face of Jacob, too, because it's like, but this ain't even his kid, so why are you even doing that? Like,
right.
It's like that you didn't care type of thing. She didn't care, and then I think it's a strange name. The whole Renee.
It was a horrible name.
It's not a good name, but I understood the gist of like, let's have both of our moms together, especially since the mom was like, when you have your babies and your grandkids, and not knowing that I wish they would have put more emphasis on the mom after all of this. Like, did she see her mom? Did she know anything about? Because it made it implied that why Charlie was around. The mom was kind of MIA. I thought it was a little strange that she wouldn't have wanted to know how her daughter was after the wedding, like after the honeymoon. I felt like that was a very strange thing. They could have touched on that. So yeah, after she says the names, and then I guess you realize she's going into labor. With the baby did this really weird thing in the stomach, like did a whole stretch type of weird looking thing.
Like an alien. Hey.
And then she pretty much goes into labor, and this is when it's like bad to the point where I think Rosalie almost forgot who she was. And I say this because Rosalie's actually the only vampire of the group who's never had human blood. In the book, it's discussed that she's the only one of the group that's actually never had human blood. She's very proud of that fact. So she had when she did the C-section of Bella, she saw the blood and she was tempted because it was right there. I thought it was a nice little play. I wish they would have discussed it more about Rosalie was actually the only one of that group who didn't have human blood. She when she killed the fiance and the prequel, she didn't actually drink the blood. She just tortured them and killed them. So I thought that was pretty cool. That she had the baby, and then Edward had which is a horrible C-section. I'm really curious, if she didn't how the stomach looked after that, because he bit her stomach open with his teeth, and and I'm just so you get open your wife's stomach to get the baby out, C-section, and you see him biting the stomach to get the baby out, and it's so.
How did he do this though? Because in the first movie, he was at the end of the movie when he had to suck the venom out, and he almost didn't stop because he's so transfixed with her blood and smell. But this one, he can do it and no problem. It's a lot of
doing that for a bit there before he pulled the baby out and realized, that he held the baby. He was able to have her hold the baby for a few seconds, and then I think she was almost dropped the baby. Which again, after labor, you would be very tired, but it was in this case is because she was dying. So, she dies, and I felt Jacob's reaction and Edward's reaction was really legit. Jacob seemed really heartbroken.
Poor baby.
And then even though Edward said earlier in the movie, if she dies, you can finally get your wish and kill me. He was like, you know what? I'm so angry with you. I'm gonna let you deal with this for the rest of your life that you killed Bella. And I thought even when Edward was trying to wake her up and he was fighting her and he was like, baby, please wake up. And I was like, that was actually, I was a little bit emotional because I was like, okay, this seems real. Bro, you lost your woman, you lost your wife.
That's so sad.
You lost your wife. This looked legit. This looked real. It looked very real. You're really upset that you lost your wife. Your daughter's here, but you lost your wife. So, how do you feel when the war was okay, now we got to kill the Cullens because Bella died? How was your feeling when they was just it was?
Oh, that was them. They was just looking for an excuse because they was always plotting. They were literally just any reason they was about to set it off, and they didn't care who and what died as long as somebody died. It would have been going down. So I guess I could see why they feel okay, they have to stick to what their ancestors put down and saying that this is the pact that we have an agreement that they can't kill anybody, but as soon as they do, we're gonna have to take them out. And I guess they did have to stick with that, but it seems a little us. We was fighting alongside y'all in the last movie. Why are you just gonna? You already know the situation, but. Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, I don't know why they were so eager to jump on it after they know the Cullens. Like they know the situation, they know the Cullens. So I didn't like that as much, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, they waited until Rosalie was there because she was like trying to deal with the fact that, but then Carlisle, Esme, and Emmett wasn't there. They was hunting, and it was like, so you guys waited until it was only Edward, Jasper, and Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Come in and start fighting. I was like, at one point, I almost thought that they might have, like, if I didn't read the book, I would have been like, oh, y'all might be dying right now, because it seemed like they were outnumbered. Alice was literally on the floor, like holding Sam's head away from her face. That if like Emmett didn't show up when he did, they probably would have died. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that's when Jacob was like, let it be known that this is the first time we got to see that he's imprinted on Renesmee.
Oh,
so like
was this the scene? Because I took a screen grab and stuff.
Yeah, like right the scene you just showed was right when they were standing when Edward was explaining that the reason he was trying to tell the other wolves, like, you can't hurt her, you can't hurt Bella, you can't hurt Renesmee, because I imprinted on her, and according to the rules, you cannot hurt anybody who imprint on them. So granted, we understand it means like a attachment, and yeah, that was when he realized he imprinted on her. Obviously, if you didn't know what imprinting was, it would look very pedophile-ish that you was like, you imprinted on a baby. It doesn't.
I know what it is, and I still think it's weird because, like, they showed the scene. It was like, first of all, this is the baby.
I hated that they did the CGI face because I'm like, this baby looks way too alert to just be born. Like, I have kids.
Yes.
This alert when it's born, like, we're not gonna play around like we don't know any better. So I hated the CGI the girl with the face on. I hated that so much.
And look how thirsty this dude is looking at this baby, like he's Jeffrey Epstein. And this is this poor defenseless child. And then he's all at his knees like he's desperately in love with this child. I'm like, this is some pedophile ass type stuff. And
it definitely does give pedophile vibes. I mean, granted,
facts.
Like, granted, it says imprinting could just mean even if you're like best friends, you want to make sure it's safe. But if you didn't know that you're like, bro, especially since the imprinting thing we got was the fact that the first time we heard about imprinting was in the first one when Jacob was explaining that imprinting is like that's usually the person you date or marry. And then the new one is explained even more when it was explaining the whole thing between Sam and Emily and Leah. So it was really weird that they kind of threw that out the window when it was Vanessa, because I'm like, y'all imply that every time imprinting happened, there eventually would be some kind of romantic thing there. So it was weird.
It was just Stephanie Mary's way of throwing us a bone. Like all the Jacob fans, like, okay, yeah, he's not really. Here's the throw your bone type thing. It's like, but like, this is that's not the bone we wanted.
Bella's friend because it was supposed to be Renesmee, and I'm like, really though? I mean, I guess. No. I mean, whatever,
And I don't understand how it can even make sense within the realm of the story, because if werewolves and vampires are supposed to be enemies, like blood enemies,
God.
How is it?
You see, it's insane. Okay.
What? How is it that he can imprint on a vampire? Because Renesmee is a vampire. So
yeah, she's like half. She's like half human, half vampire. So they're supposed to be like enemies. So I'm not really sure
how that happens.
Stephanie never went back to it to explain. I mean, I don't know if she would now decide to go back on the story and see how can you explain the whole Jacob Renesmee thing, but it was a bit weird. Like,
this is not the time. This is not the time. Now with all these Jeffrey Epsteins and all these allegations, she better just shut up and cash a check. Because I would not reopen that.
It definitely does give a little bit of pedophile vibes. So I'm like, bro, she's a baby. Like, how do you like imprint on the baby? Like, I get that you can't control it, but it was just like, you kind of waited until maybe she's a teenager, like give us something in the future, like 20 years later, and now she's an adult. Now he imprinted. It would make a little more sense to me, but I don't know. It just was a little weird. It was. But, so
speaking of the CGI baby though, but I feel like this baby was a hell of a lot better than the baby that they were going to put on the movie. Which is that baby?
Listen, I hated that they, like I said, they used the actress and that played her when she was a little older. But it was like, you don't need to CGI her face that much. You could have just used regular people use regular babies. Nobody cares what the baby looks like. Nobody's like, ooh, do you look like Bella or Edward? We don't care. Like, nobody cares. You could have just had a regular baby, in there. You didn't have to CGI the face. That was so weird that they did that. And I guess it was to imply that the baby grew fast, but I don't know. I didn't really understand why the CGI the baby. It wasn't so yeah, after the fight, and then they realized that Jacob imprinted him as me, and then they have to leave it alone. We kind of see that okay, Bella's about to turn. So you see, they like made her pretty. They put her in a nice dress, and they made her up, like put the makeup on, and kind of left her laying there for a while. And then you kind of see like they show the like visual scene of like her her heart kind of stopped and her blood cells changed to whatever. I guess it's supposed to be like ice because it turned white. I don't assume it's like ice or whatever, but it like her blood cells changed to like this white color and her heart started beating, but it wasn't like a live heart. It was just like to say that the body's working, I guess. And then you see like they know she's coming, like it's like they know she's about to wake up, and then the movie one ends with her with red eyes, and that is how they end the first part of Breaking Dawn. Which, if I didn't read the book and I ended like that, I probably would have been very annoyed. If I would have just been off the movies and we were just like, oh, okay, let's go see part one, and I'm like, what the F? I would have been mad if that's the way it ended. So you're gonna make me wait a whole year for this? I would have been mad. I'm gonna be honest. If I didn't read the book and know that was why they split it, I would have been mad if that was the way the movie one ended.
I read the book and I was still mad that they split this. It was like there's no reason for this to be split into two movies. And I didn't like the book when I read it. I thought it just wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. I just read it because I wanted to finish the series and didn't want to leave that one unread. But there was absolutely no reason besides the money grab to split these two. There's not enough content in the movies to split it. I feel like it's not justifiable. It really pissed me off when I found out back in the day that they were putting it into two. But that started like, and I think it was freaking Harry Potter started that shit because they remember how they split the last movie. But
at least with the Harry Potter last parts, it was so big that they had to split it. It was too much information.
Exactly.
For this,
so much
it literally
Harry Potter.
Huh?
What are we going to be doing next week? Speaking about,
I think it is Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yes.
But there was so much content in that book.
We are going to be starting Harry Potter.
We are? Oh.
3 people that you see right here. Right, Chrissy?
All right. I'm down.
Yeah, at least with Deathly Hallows, there's a lot of information that either you're going to have like a 4-hour movie or you have to split it because it was too much information. You had certain things had to be said to split the movie. With this, movie one, after the wedding, is basically her being pregnant. It's a good chunk of the movie. It's her being pregnant and her dealing with the pregnancy and Edward being angry that she's pregnant and Jacob being angry that she's having. It was literally too much of that. So I definitely agree that if anything, it would have been a slightly longer movie, but they didn't need to split it. I definitely think it was just to keep the fans coming back like, oh, part 2 next year, 2012. Like, I thought that's what
started doing that. That's when the Hunger Games started doing that. And the Virgin
even with the Hunger Games, the what is it? Is it Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and what the hell is the last one? Where the last one is, it's not coming to me right now. Yeah, that didn't need to be split either. It didn't need to be split. It could have been one.
Or the Divergent one. They didn't even make the final part of the freaking split.
Let me give you some of Divergent. Like Divergent, they failed. They totally failed with those movies. Totally failed. And yes, it's like I get that you get fandoms. Like the Hunger Games have fandoms. That was the whole like made odds be ever in your favor and everything. And Twilight had the fandom. You did not need to split this. I do think that they could have took some of the pregnancy scenes out because it was just mostly, I want to say about a good 75% of the movie was her being pregnant. And then when she gave birth, it was just like we didn't need that. So now we are to part. Oh well, let's do these. I guess the plugs. I think I saw that flash bottom screen. So I guess Vic, you put the plugs in. Yes, Vicky, we're doing both parts today.
All right.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay. So tomorrow. Yeah, check us out tomorrow for entertainment, where we're going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy. That's going to be good. So, like, I came to give you guys support because Chris was on 2%. But I just finished the lease signing and I'm in an empty apartment. You could probably hear the echo. and I might have to step off now because I got to make sure I get curfew. So,
Okay.
You guys got
Thanks
this, right?
for stopping by.
You guys got
Thank you for stopping by.
Fun. And Chrissy, like, you put so many pictures in here. Oh my God, Chrissy. Chrissy, you bugging, girl. Like, you wilding with all these pictures. Like, this is
Look, I'm a visual
all right,
learner.
but
We gotta.
I see that y'all vibing on this movie, so I'm gonna just get out of here because I'm feeling like a six-toe. All right.
All right. See you later.
Thank
for
you.
coming.
You're welcome.
All right. So, okay, we get to the part where she knows that she's a vampire, or well, she turns into a vampire, and that's when she starts to get, all her strength and everything. And I think it was one thing where she went in for a hug for Edward, but she like kind of like, she was like, look, you're really strong right now.
Yeah.
She's stronger than Edward. And isn't that when they well, I'm not sure if this is the right order because again, chopped and screwed, but they had the scene where she goes hunting, right? And this was the funniest scene to me. Like, oh my God, like I couldn't stop laughing because look at this woman in the trees. And then she sees a freaking jaguar of all things, or whatever, a mountain lion. And the way she hops and jumps and skips to this lion, I was in tears watching. I was like, "Yo, this is hilarious."
Yeah, because I felt like it was slightly unrealistic. Because I get that she's supposed to be strong and all. So you hunted in a dress, so that's one. So you got times to be in a tight blue dress and you hunting and just like no type of like this is comfortable. You can jump well in this dress, like it's movable where you can like flip and say, oh, okay. I mean, I guess. And then it's like she didn't even go for the deer, which was like 3 deer. She went for the mountain lion. I was just like, oh, all right, well, why the mountain lion? Like, why not the deer? Why do you have to be like?
Are they close to extinction? Like, aren't they like? Why you want to go for the damn mountain lion?
Exactly. Like there was like 3 deer. You could have picked one. And if the mountain lion needed a deer too, he could have had one. Like you didn't have to go after the mountain lion. And then it implied like I guess Edward was just like watching this happen. Because even when she like went to the mountain and then she was like the guy who scraped his knee on the mountain and she like went to him and almost killed him. It was just like sis. So you were just like F what Edward said. Because Edward was saying you're supposed to be hunting for animals. You were just like, nah, I smell human. I'm just go over there. And I get that it was supposed to be like this is like day one of vampire. Like you don't know how to control it yet. But I was just like, so you just gonna forget everything Edward just told you. Like he didn't just tell you we don't do humans. And she was just like, even when she was like, oh, get me away from me, I was like, why are you so angry? Like Edward was being nice to you at the moment, sis. Why are you so mad? Like she seems so mad at him. And I'm like, it ain't his fault. Like sis, this is what you wanted. Okay, you wanted to be a vampire so bad. So like follow the rules, sis. Follow the rules. So I thought it was like after the they had the discussion, like she had good self-control, she didn't like spaz or anything, was when she finally get to see the baby again as a vampire. And this is when she finds out that Jacob imprinted on her. So what was your thoughts about that part? Like
this is the most acting we've ever seen Kristen Stewart do in the whole movie. Like she was really pissed. And you can finally see some emotion in that blank face and stare that she always has throughout the whole movie. So I guess that was a good scene. But the way Jacob inserted himself into this family is still so creepy. I won't linger on it, but I was upset. And I feel like she was rightly upset that this grown-ass man, or teenager, but still, he's grown, imprinted on her fresh out-the-womb baby. But, yeah, I think... Yeah, that was the most acting she's ever did in her life at that point.
I agree. So. She has been like that was the one thing me and my friends always joke about. It was like she has like no emotional range. Cause like a lot of times, even when like in New Moon, when he left her and she was just like, no, stop. And I'm like, sis, this is you trying to keep him here? Because if so, I'm leaving too. Like, you don't seem like you want him here. What is a no stop or regular? She didn't cry. Like she didn't cry and then he left and she was just so like it felt like no type of emotion on this. Yes, this was like the first time, even when she got married, and except for when she was talking to her dad or when she like helped her mom and they gave her the comb for her hair, which I thought was really sweet. Like after that, even with like the laughing parts, it didn't seem like much emotion until that part where she was like, oh, you imprinted on my daughter, and then you named her after Loch Ness Monster, and she had like Jacob should have slapped her personally, just like flipped a little bit. Like when she threw him to the ground, I was like, oh, he was beating his ass for a minute. Like he wasn't trying to fight her. Yeah, and I was like, nah, Jacob, you need to like let her know who it. Like, you don't gotta like. I get it's woman thing, and I understand all that. And then when she pushed poor Seth to the tree, and that hurt me because I was like, first of all, Seth did nothing to nobody. Poor Seth was just trying to protect Jacob because he was like beating him up, and he was like, and then he made a little whimper, and I was like, wait, no, Seth. And I was like, you know what, Bella, if I was Leah, I would kick your ass. That's my brother, so we fighting. We're gonna be fighting, Bella. We're gonna be fighting because you don't throw my brother to the tree. And Seth was the nicest of all the wolves. I said, even nicer than Jacob was to her at times. Seth was the nicest wolf to Bella.
And I wonder. I know they couldn't kill Renesmee because of like the whole imprinting thing, but she's fair game at this point. She's not. Renesmee is no longer in her. She did die, so Cullens did technically kill someone, so it could have been on and popping right there. But luckily, that Jacob was still cool with her for whatever reason, and decided to back off. But yeah, Bella should have died many times in this movie. I'm still shocked that she's alive. But
because not only like the amount of accidents she was in general, but then it's like all the stuff all the drama like in the first movie with James. Which I wish they would have mentioned more of why James was so important in Twilight, because in the books it was because he already knew Alice from before, and it's never mentioned in the movies that he was a tracker and he actually was partially responsible for why Alice was killed in the first place. And I say this only because James wanted Alice when she was human, so you know the story for Alice was she was able to have premonitions, but they thought she was crazy from the time period. She was like, oh, you don't know. You can't. It's crazy. And they threw her in a mental asylum. And the doctor there was doing experiments and she died there. So I hated that they kind of ignored that part that James kind of already slightly had a relationship with Alice. Not like as a vampire, but he wanted to kill her before. So with the whole...
the powers are so inconsistent. That's what I don't like. It's
a lot of things I wish that I get. You can't put everything into the movie, but there were certain things that would have made things more understandable. Like if they would have mentioned, like the fact that Rosalie and Jasper's last name was not Cullen. And the reason because they were Rosalie and Jasper Hale was to imply that Carla and Esme adopted a brother and sister pair to be with the family, and make it a little bit also more plausible that the fact that Jasper and Alice was technically a couple. They were actually like together, and then Emmett and Rosalie were actually married, even though it's never discussed in the book and the movie. In the books is that they did get married. Emmett's the reason why, like it mentioned, vampire sex can be really crazy sex because him and Rosalie supposedly have crazy sex all the time, and they're married. But to make it more plausible, like, oh, we're adopting a set of siblings, and it was supposed to be Rosalie and Jasper. They were blonde. They kind of favored, like, okay, you guys are Rosalie and Jasper Hale. So I hated that they really didn't mention it too much. It was always just the Cullens, and I felt like I get you can't put everything in a movie, you know, from a book, but certain things would have made things more, you know, more understandable, or if they had certain parts in the movie that was like, okay, how does this make sense? So, yeah, after the whole thing went, as you know, and when you mentioned about him setting foot in front of her, like, okay, that's enough. I understood that as a mom. Don't you freaking tell me what's enough with my kid. Like, you must want to get slapped, because he definitely just threw himself in there like, oh, okay, that's enough. Yeah. Like, bro, relax. I get that you worried about her and you know, you imprinted and all, but she's thinking like, this is my child. I haven't seen my child yet. As a vampire, I want to hug my child and hold my child, and here you come. Like, Rosalie held the baby more than Bella did at this point. So it was like, you know, Jacob, this is probably not the moment to put your imprinting thing going on, like, oh, let's not do that. That's probably why Edward let him get beat up a little bit, because he was like,
he's fine.
That's probably why he allowed him to get beat up, because he was like, listen, he playing games right now, like, we're gonna just let this play out a little bit. So I thought that was cool, like, and then I think right after that it was Renesmee, the fact that she kept growing very fast, and like it implied that she grew. Well, no, I think before that it was the Charlie thing. So I thought that was cool. When they were saying that Charlie thought she died. My thing I had a problem with that part was like, so not one of you thought the proper thing would be to call Charlie and say maybe something did happen. I just was ignoring the man's calls. Personally, I would have went to the Cullens house before Jacob came to me to tell me what was happening. I probably would have been there, because it's like, my child I haven't heard from since she got married. She was gone for the honeymoon, and then when she heard from her again, she was sick, which was described in like movie one, in part one, that, you know, she was supposedly sick and needed to have to go to Switzerland for some medical care or some crap, and he hadn't spoke to her in months. So it was just like, not one of you thought the polite, correct thing would be probably call him to tell him at least something, at least that she's fine, because they said he was calling, and that's when Jacob was like, yeah, he was part selfish, like, oh, you're not gonna leave and take Vanessa me with you. Partially, yes, but I also did understand, like, Charlie didn't do anything to anybody. You kind of have to give him something, and I understood that. So I felt like Charlie handled the whole Jacob being a wolf thing pretty well, especially when he took his clothes off. I mean, I was fine him taking his shirt off, and getting down to the, taking his pants off. I was like, oh, all right, well, more.
It was a great scene, and I thought it was in another movie, but it was in this scene. But I do have a little clip for us to enjoy. So let's.
You don't live in the world you think you do. Jacob, put your clothes on. Now, this may seem strange, really strange, but stranger things happen every day. Trust me.
All right, yes.
Listen, he's all buff and like built, and then he took. I was like, now they could have gave me a little more of a tease with they just showed the lineups. I was like, no, we could give a little more. They could go just a little more.
Man, he felt so objectified. But I thought it was a nice touch that they added, like, right before he changed, that he was like kind of turning red, and you could see like steam building from him a little bit because his temperature was rising. So that was cool, and I think Charlie handled it really well, considering.
But considering that you just watched the boy turn to a wolf, and he was like, "Oh, well, things ain't the way you think they are." Right. Surprise, I'm a wolf. I felt like he handled it pretty well, even when he finally, like, when Jacob told Bella that he told Charlie, and they were mad. I was like, "Well, you guys not understanding why he told Charlie? Like, Charlie deserves to know something. Like." Mm-hmm. How you gonna ask Charlie when you get married to never let your hand go and to always be there, and then, oh, now that I'm married and dead now, well, F Charlie. I was like, I felt like even though Jacob was partially selfish for it, I felt like it was also the right thing to do, to let Charlie have something.
But that's also where the inconsistencies come in again, because in New Moon, he couldn't even mention the word werewolf to Bella because it was like against the rules. Like he was struggling to say it, but he could literally shift and turn and everything in front of Charlie with like no issue.
But, yeah, because in New Moon, when they were searching for the wolves, when we knew the wolves wasn't really a thing, they was looking for Victoria. Even Henry, before he passed away, when the guy with the old guy with the white hair, he was like even trying to hide the fact that the wolves was there. He was like getting rid of the prints in the ground. And I'm guessing maybe because Jacob was like on his own, maybe it didn't matter if he told. But it was really weird because I was just like, oh, okay, well. I thought this is supposed to be like a secret. Like, you can't just be telling everybody that this is like the Colette people. This is their secret. Like, you're not supposed to let people know that. But he definitely told. And then even when they were saying the what's this part? I think with what's this part? Yeah, where they was explaining that supposedly Sam and Jacob kind of mended fences. And I was like, so Jacob was at the Collins and he was back to his house, because when he was fixing his bike, it looked like the shack garage he was, him and Bella hung out at New Moon, which was confusing because I wasn't sure. Like, I thought he was like chilling with the way he's implied, like he was always chilling with the Cullens. How is he like home fixing bikes where Sam will talk to him like, oh, everything's fine, bro? Like, I don't know. It was weird. But yeah, with what was I saying with regards to Charlie? And then she had to put the contacts in, the like hazel contacts they wear to look normal, and then the breathing, and she was sitting where it was. Even then, it was just like, so you've seen how Edward and the rest of them are around you. If you didn't know he was a vampire because he was cold, they looked normal. I didn't understand why it was so hard for her to adjust to not be normal when she just died. It was like, you should have some part of that left to be able to know, like, to blink and to breathe, to look like you're human. Yeah, why do you need this? Like, why did you have to need this much prep work? You just died, like, 3 days before. Like, it was weird to me because I was like, you see how they are around you. Like, yeah, they move fast, but before you knew there was vampires, they didn't move fast to you. They moved very slow. Like, to them, they looked normal to you before you knew they were vampires and everything else. So I thought it was very strange that, they had to explain. And then even with Charlie hugged her, which I thought was a good, like, I thought it was a good pan on the face on the camera when he hugged her and he realized she was cold, and like he looked like concerned, but he was just glad and I thought that was a very genuine like emotion from Charlie. Like, he was like, what happened to her? But I'm glad she's here. I thought that was really good. I felt it was realistic, even with the whole daughter. Like, he was like, oh, this is your niece. Because Jacob told her now this is about an adopted niece, and he was like, but Belle, she has your eyes. And I'm like, first of all, once I saw my daughter's eyes in this child, I'm like, so we're not gonna hear with this niece stuff. You was pregnant? Like, I would have, okay, you was pregnant. And I didn't even understand why I lied about the lease thing. Because it was just like, could have just said, oh, she got pregnant on the wedding and then had the baby. Or whatever. I didn't understand why lie.
Because the baby was way too, like, old looking at this time to be. So I can see how he might have, like, went with the lie. Because it's like, this baby is looking like a grown baby. And this girl just got back from her honeymoon just how long ago? Like a couple weeks ago. So there's no way he would think that it was like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. Sense. That's true. But he was so understanding. I personally would have flipped somebody at this point. Like, I gotta, like, not only do I finally see my daughter, she don't look right, she don't feel right, but oh, you got this baby, this weird baby thing. Okay, cool. Like, but I think he handled it pretty well. I feel like Charlie's actually one of my favorite character arcs for me personally, because I liked how his character has grown over the series. Like, as far as like how he was with Bella and how he like can tell he really like in the beginning he seemed kind of hands off with her as far as being her dad. But he got more and more concerned as time went on. Like, you know, you my daughter, and you're gonna try to follow some rules. Like, I like his character arc for the most part. So we see even as me growing up, she's growing very fast. Carlisle is like trying to understand that they might can ask somebody, and then we have Hayden behind Irina, which she's mentioned in the first one as part of the cousins, and like she was mad that the wolves killed Laurent. Which I hated that while, yes, in the books it is described that she liked that they were together, her and Laurent. I hated that you don't mention, that's what I'm saying, Irina should have been mentioned earlier before Breaking Dawn, because it would have made sense when she said, oh, my guy, which was the guy with the dreads, black guy with dreads, was murdered by the wolves. You didn't even realize he came to Bella to kill her for Victoria. So like he's going after Victoria's meal for whatever reason, and that's supposed to be your man. So he wasn't worried about, like, for me, it was like, so he didn't care about where you were, or like what I felt like they should have been mentioned earlier on that, you know, that Laurent was, you know, your boyfriend or something, because he really was hanging out with Victoria and James. And Victoria and James was supposed to be a couple. And then Laurent was just there, and it was like, so you were supposed to be like wandering with them. Where was Irina in all of this? If she's supposed to be your mate, like they implied. So I felt like that her hating behind went into the Volturi to tell them that, oh, they're creating immortal children without asking. So I felt like, sis, how old are you that you're being petty? This is petty. You see the girl catch snowflakes and like, oh my god, they're committing a crime. And this is supposed to be your family. So I was like, what kind of, this is like that whole like life stuff, like, you know, sometimes your family be hating. I thought this is what this was. Because it was like, sis, you could have easily asked Edward. You could have asked
Why would she come to the wedding? If she's so upset that they killed her lover, why is your ass in the wedding? Not only showing up to the wedding, but she was in the wedding. She was one of the bridesmaids in the picture. Like, where's it at? So if you were so upset about your guy dying at the hands of Edward and all them, what you doing here? Why are you in the wedding, right?
Yeah, I don't know why she was there, and she was obviously holding a grudge about that, even though Laurent did try to kill Bella. That's why he got killed. Like, if probably he didn't do that, he'd probably be alive. He went after her, and the wolves happened to be there. So yeah, you can be mad, but instead of her being and telling me to go talk to Edward, I'm gonna be petty, and I'm gonna go extra petty. I'm gonna go to the Volturi, who controls all of us. Like, I was like, sis, you knew they were gonna try to kill them after this. Like, I was like, how foul are you as a family member that that's the route you go? Like, I'm not gonna go talk to anybody. Let me go right to the Volturi. Be like, oh, they committed a crime. I was like, you really was mad about your guy that much, who was away from you this whole time, mind you. Because he was hanging out with Victoria after James died. So he was away from you this whole time. And you was that upset, not mad at Victoria, who kind of took him away from you. No, let's be mad at Edward and Bella, because he was trying to be a creep without you. Because that's pretty much what it was. And I was like, so you decided to go to Volturi knowing that it would probably be like something that they would be upset for. And then I hated that when they showed the Volturi, I felt like they had like an obsession with Bella and Edward. Because he was so gleefully happy when she was like, oh, the Cullens, look how quick he closed that book he was reading. He was like, the Cullens, like, oh, like he was so waiting for something to go mess with him again. I felt like he was waiting for New Moon. Like, since because they was able to get away in New Moon, we gonna mess with him again. Like, he was so happy to like get that, oh, they got married and everything. Oh, but now they did a crime. Now we can really mess with them now. I felt like he was really gleeful to do that. Like, it was just like, bro, you was waiting. So this is now when I guess Alice realized things about to get different, because, you know, she can see if somebody does something, she can see the future change. So she realized that the Volturi is now coming for Cullens to kill them, because now it's like, oh, you committed a crime, you have this immortal child, not realizing that this child was actually born while Bella was human, and it wasn't technically an immortal child. It was more like something. I don't want to say that because she was like half vampire, half human. Mm-hmm. So that's when Alice decides to take Jasper and decide to go and leave, to go look for it. They don't really say what they're doing just yet, but that they're gone. And they say, okay, guys, go look for some witnesses to show that Renesmee is not what they think she is, or maybe that the Volturi will believe you guys. So what was your thoughts about them going to find, like, I thought the different vampires was pretty interesting. What was your thought about, like, the different vampires that came outside of the family members? Because there's the Nali clan, but then it was like the other members that came afterwards.
I didn't like it. I was like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. Even in the book, I was like, what? You really think that just because these people saying, oh, yeah, she's not a vampire or whatever, that these vultures are going to stop? Because they got this guy, I don't know his name. They got this guy. They got the Russian couple, I don't know what the hell. They got were they supposed to be Egyptian or I don't know what the
I honestly don't know. I want to say Middle Eastern, but I'm not, because the way like the background scene looked like when they were there, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, they got like the people. I think the people from Ireland. They had like the redheaded people. They were there. They got like the Safina. I was nice to see some black vampires. Not gonna lie, I was like, all right, the two women.
Nope.
The two women that was I hated that they had them with like the jungle clothes on though. I don't know if they were supposed to be Brazilian because they kept playing the jungle. Oh, they were supposed to be African. The two black women. That was them. I'm not really sure if what they were supposed to be. They were supposed to be like Brazilian or they were supposed to be African because they were like dark skinned. But then they kept having the jungle look for them. So I wasn't sure, but it was nice to see like some darker skinned vampires. So I was like, you telling me y'all just don't like black people or something at all? Like y'all just don't.
Look,
okay.
Apparently, in the first movie, the director had to fight with Stephanie Meyer to get some inclusivity there. So I'm like,
yeah, I know. It was a whole big thing because she was like, she didn't see any black people, and then people was mad because the one person that was black in the first movie happened to be the villain, or one of the villains. Though in the book, what I don't think people realize, in the book, he was never a black guy. He was just described as being the meaner of the three. Like, he was supposed to be very, like, his attitude was dark. Not that he was dark skinned, he was actually very pale with black hair, and he was, like, the meanest of the three of them. But he seemed they had him more lax in the movie, and maybe because he was the black guy, they didn't want people like, oh, now you got the villain being black and evil, so maybe that's what they was trying to do. But yeah, it was just like, it was kind of nice to, like, all these vampires we kept seeing. It was nice to see some that they had to be. You telling me you have friends all over Carlisle? You had to have some black, it had to be some black people you had to know. So it was cool to see that in that respect. Like, okay, about time. Because Jesus, not one. You know, all these years I've been around, y'all don't know one black man, like none at all. It felt a little weird to me. So, I mean, it was cool to an extent, but to have like how big was Carlisle House that you had like 18 other vampires there is beyond me. Because it was like 18 extra vampires.
We got these folks. We got Elsa and everybody over there. I don't understand how everybody could be in this one house. But yeah, I wasn't feeling it, that part. But it is what it is. And it didn't even do any good because, again, the Volturi don't care. They were just looking for an excuse. So it doesn't matter how many people that they had saying, oh, yeah, this is what she really is.
Yeah, I think one of the vampires said that the Volturi was also looking for witnesses to show this is what happened when you disobey us. So I felt like they were kind of going in. The Arrow already had a problem with the Cullens because Cullens got away in New Moon. You know, and then the thing with Eclipse, because, you know, it was implied that Jane kind of let them run rampant. She knew what they were doing, and she was like, I'm going to let them handle it and act like she was going to clean up then. So they already had some issues with Cullens already. The Cullens kind of was, like, very kind, not part of that. And it was like, this is our opportunity to now, like, do what we want to do in New Moon. So when we get to, like, the battle scene, when, you know, well, before the battle scene, I think when, Bella goes take Renesmee and Jacob to Charlie's house. This is where we see Charlie has a thing with Sue Clearwater, Henry's widow. We see that kind of a thing. So I was like, about time to get Charlie a woman because man been lonely and like.
But is it too soon? The guy just died. Like, what's the time period here?
I want to say maybe New Moon, so maybe like a year and a half. I want to say because New Moon and Eclipse was in the same year. New Moon and Eclipse takes place within the same year because they graduate in Eclipse. So that's within the same year. I want to say maybe a year and a half from when he died. Because I know in the wedding part, I know Jacob's dad was cock blocking. Like he was trying to get her some champagne, and he was like, "Oh, I want some champagne too." I'm like, bro, he not at the time. I don't think he was looking at it as like an interest. He probably was just being nice because she was the woman standing there. And Jacob's dad was like, "Nah, we gonna go together to get that champagne. We're not gonna be doing this over here." So I felt like he was trying to cock block in that, but we finally see, obviously, in part 2 that something happened because she's definitely over there when they bring the daughter over. And this is when Bella talks to the guy, the lawyer, about like getting documentation, getting passports in case this goes bad. And I think that's when Bella realized that Alice was thinking, oh, this might be really bad. It's going to only be Jacob and Renesmee because she had nothing there for Edward, she had nothing there for Bella. It was only for Jacob and Renesmee. I'm thinking Alice at the point was thinking, yeah, we're probably going to all die. And like at least Jacob and Renesmee, Renesmee has Jacob to take care of her, if we all die. So then we, a little bit after that, we finally get to what's going to be the battle, which this is the one I was actually really upset for. Like, they had the standstill and they were trying to talk. And then even after Alice have the little girl, like this, like she kind of do what you do, like what Edward does, but she does it differently. Like even after Alice goes to them and says, well, you can see yourself that, she wasn't a child created immortally. She was born while Bella was human. She's like half human, half vampire. It was never like anything that was against the rules because nobody knew that technically could even happen. This is when we realized like this is when this is what Arrow really didn't give a shit. Like, okay, you did all that and now I don't care. So when he tries to take Alice, because again, it's not really implied so well in the movies, but in the books, Arrow always wanted Alice because Alice's whole like you can see the future kind of thing is a get. He's like, they call it acquisitioner. Like he collects vampires for their skill set, and Alice has one of the most, what Edward does too, which is explained in New Moon because Edward has the ability to read minds. Alice could see the future, and because he was always curious about what Bella could do because she was immune to all the things that the other ones can do. So he wanted to read them in New Moon, which is not mentioned in the movie, that he actually wanted to keep them there. It's never mentioned in the movie, but he already wanted Alice anyway. So when I think Carlisle realized that he was trying to take Alice and Carlisle goes charging towards him, this is the scene that got me upset. Because when they took Carlisle's, I was like, first of all, I was upset. Oh, yeah. Like when they took his head off and they did the charge, and then you see Arrow, and then he like throw his head, and he has that really crazy evil smile on his face. I was ready to flip some shit because I was like, Carlisle is the nicest vampire we ever had in any of these movies. How dare you kill the nicest guy? He's just all nice and caring, and he's all level-headed, and he's always being kind to humans and vampires alike, and the wolves. And you take his, I was really upset at that part. I was ready to flip some chairs. Yeah, because
he was about to fight up with Alice, and then Carlisle.
Yeah, because he wanted Alice. Alice was his daughter. He was like, "You come back. This Alice is not, ours." And he's like, now this is the one time you see him get kind of angry, and then you take his head. Oh, I was mad. I'm not gonna lie. I was ready to flip some chairs. I was ready to flip something.
There's some heat behind it. There's some story behind him and him because they used to be cool together, like back in the day, right? And then Carlisle went his way.
I feel like probably because he left him because like he knew what was happening with them, but that wasn't his thing. Like he wasn't an evil vampire. He didn't even drink human blood. Like he went after animals. He helped people. He got his skill set. Like you're around 200 years. You should be the best doctor ever in the world. You should have learned everything to know about medicine. So I feel like maybe they was probably upset that again the Cullens was like on their own, but they was able to live among humans and not bother anybody. And he left you guys. So I feel like it was. But I was like, when they showed the little smile he did when he had his head in his hand, I was mad. I was really ready to flip the chair because I was like, first of all, he is the nicest vampire of everybody in the whole series. Like he don't bother him and his wife are like so nice and they like so kind. Like how you gonna take us? I feel like that was a good way to kind of start up the battle. Like, oh, you killed the nicest guy of the whole group. We killed Carlisle. So it was good to see like, them like Jacob takes Renesmee, he kind of runs away from the battle to keep her safe.
Yeah, I still feel like this is creepy. It's like, first of all, you already know what's on Jacob's mind. You already know. And this poor little girl, and you leave him to take care, and like he's just running off to the woods all happy, like I suppose, free to race the girl with no one looking. It's like there's no way in hell I would send my daughter off with this man who already admitted that he imprinted on her. And he ran away so fucking fast. Like he couldn't wait.
He definitely did. I'm guessing that was like their way of like, okay, you're gonna protect her, because he definitely did. I would have felt like he probably would have normal Jacob would have stayed to help Bella. And that's how you knew he really didn't give a shit about her no more, because he was like, all right, and he just turned right around with her, like he didn't. It wasn't the same he would have done, like he would have done a new moon eclipse. He was just like, nah, we good now, we good. Like I got her, we good. So when they run and then they see the battle, I was so glad when Jane got hers. When it was like her and I, like first they killed Jasper next, which made me upset. So when Bella was doing her thing to kind of keep Jasper safe, and then Jane's brother went after Bella, and then Jane was able to get him to the point where they took his head off. I was kind of sad, 'cause I was like, Jasper was the one vampire who probably had the most battle experience here. That's just gonna kill him right after. Like, I just do him dirty right now. I was really upset about that too, that they killed Jasper. And then it was, even when Seth died, and they broke his leg, and I thought it was like to see like the life come out of his eyes, because they did very well with that, like to see the life come out of his eyes, his breathing stop. I was like, yeah, they have to again. Yeah, I got to Seth, he's the nicest one of the group. Like, you gotta do it the first time. I'm not gonna lie, I was upset.
And even Esme was about to get it.
Yeah, until Leah, and I think Leah, it was a nice turning point for Leah, because Leah really didn't like any of them, and even when Esme was trying to be nice to her in the first part of Breaking Dawn, when she gave them the food, the sandwiches and stuff, and then she was kind of mean to her, and Jacob was like apologizing. It was nice to this was like full circle for her, like, I'm finally being nice to you, and she saved Esme, because if it wasn't for her, Esme probably would have died. And then you see Leah died, and I was like, oh. And I think Jacob's reaction when he realized that Seth died, and when Leah kind of did the call, and he was whimpering while he was running, and I thought it was nice to see that he was hurt, because it was a whimpering type of thing. And it was also nice to see the other wolves come back. So Quimby, Embry, Quill, Embry, the ones who was with Sam, they kind of went to fight with the Cullens, and I think even Sam was there, because he's always the Black Wolf. It was always him. So it was nice to see him go after Jane, because Jane's ass deserved it. Like, you was just wilding Jane. So I was glad. It was nice to see.
But it was too much. I feel like they was doing too much. Like, they had all these people. They had, like I said, they had Elsa there. They had, this guy there. I don't know what the heck he is. They got Draco Malfoy in the crowd.
So I know.
I'm like, this is too much.
Oh my God, Draco Malfoy. I'm done.
So and plus that wasn't even in the book. And I understand that they had to have, like, I thought it was a good addition, though. It was a good addition to have this fight scene, because it was all this build up for nothing pretty much in the book, because they went out there, no fight whatsoever. So when you saw the fight, it was like, when I was like, oh, this isn't in the book. But then I was like, okay, I kind of like it though. So I'll give it a pass. But yeah, finally at the end of the battle, right, where suddenly Edward and Bella have like these Hawkeye and Black Widow skills. He tosses her. She was able to somehow like flip and get on top of this guy. And again, this is Bella, who was super duper clumsy like all through the book. So suddenly she's like a karate skilled like master black belt, and she was able to rip off the guy's head in her fancy new leather jacket.
My thing with that was I was like, you guys could have done this like the whole time before. Like, y'all couldn't just went after him first. I feel like if you went after him first, we probably wouldn't have gotten all this extra stuff that happened. Because like it was nice that Alice got rid of Jane because she was the one who killed Jasper. So it was like a nice fitting thing. It was nice for the other cousin, the other blonde cousin with the really, really light eyes, to go after the other blonde guy from the Rotary, because he was the one who threw her baby in the fire when they explained the story of the immortal children. When Jane just like he was like laughing when they killed the lady and then threw the baby in the fire, like that was a personal grudge. Like I'm gonna kill you. You deserve this. So I thought it was like little things, with personal things with some of them. Like, okay, this is kind of full circle. I'm gonna get rid of you. I feel like the older guy from the Valtori, he was just like whatever. I feel like he wanted to die a long time ago.
Yes.
Because he didn't even fight. He was just like finally, and he just let them do whatever to him. He didn't defend. Nothing. He was just like finally. I feel like he was probably trying to be the vampire. I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but I think he was the one person who was just tired of the bullshit with Arrow. He was tired of the shenanigans. And he was like, all right, I'll take my death. Fine. Like, he was the only one. So I think once they showed the end of the battle and Alice says, like, if you don't change your mind, y'all gonna die. Pretty much, you're gonna all die. This is what's gonna happen if you don't change your mind. And even though the blonde guy, he was going mad hard still, like, oh, it's still a thing, we still don't know what the baby's gonna do. And that's when we see the other child, that Alice, this is the reason why Alice went in the first place, was to find the other child that was half vampire, half human, which was the guy. I want to say he was supposed to be native. I'm not sure, because the way he was dressed, he looked like he could have been like native or of some Latino descent. I'm not sure, But he was also, his mom was got pregnant by a vampire, and the mom died, and his aunt pretty much raised him, and he got full grown at like 16, and then he pretty much just was like, oh, I eat human food, I can drink blood, I can eat human food, but nobody knows anything, he doesn't harm anybody, and that's when Arrow was like, all right, there's no crime. Like, this guy, he's here.
He was saving face at that point.
Yeah, like if we don't stop this battle and the battle happens, we're gonna die. So it's like, now, we can leave, and it implies that, I guess the Volturi is gonna leave them alone forever, because they was like, we're not gonna bother anybody, we're gonna live in seclusion, we're not gonna nobody would know about this girl or anything like that. So how was your thoughts of the whole wrap up? Because pretty much after that, it was like, the Cullens are able to stay now. Jacob get to be with Renesmee and everything, and they have their house on the property, the Cullens property that they gave them or whatever. So what was your thoughts? This is the end. Now we're at the end. What is your thoughts about the wrap up? This is it.
I like that they brought it back to the meadow again one last time. That was a big important area throughout the whole movie, or the whole couple of movies, like the Meadow Vector, Special Meadow. I thought it was kind of weird that she could project her thoughts, and how they kind of showed. I guess they showed it well for what they had to do, but it just.
I totally forgot about that part. I explained the barrier thing about her. She was being it was called a shield. So it was the reason why Eric could never read her mind, or why nothing ever worked on Bella when she was human, was because apparently she had the gift of being a shield. It's a defense mechanism. So she was able. It was weird to kind of see it when they showed the visualization of it, when she was supposed to be saving people. So it was weird. But I did like that in the middle when she finally kind of let the guard down, so Eric can finally know everything she's been thinking this whole time, because he never could read her mind. She was the only person he couldn't read. So that was a nice way to even the relationship, the relationship aspect, you want to know what your significant other is thinking sometimes. I thought it was nice. It's like, I'm finally letting you in. It's like me letting you in now. You can know everything I've ever been thinking. I don't have to hold that up with you. I thought it was a nice metaphor for that, in relationships in general. You might hold things up or hold the wall up, and she finally, we got married, we're together, we got this kid, everything is fine now. I can let everything go. So I thought that was nice, a nice wrap up to do for her, in regards to now he knows everything she's done this whole time.
Yeah. So that's the end of the movie. So I guess, do you want to do final review?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Like I said, I did not enjoy the last book. I didn't like it. I really struggled to get through that book. I remember not even wanting to finish it. I was like, look, I've invested all these years in these other books. I'm going to finish this damn series. So. And I felt the same way with the movie. The movie was this is a lot of long pauses. Oh, wait, you know what we didn't discuss? Because this is what I wanted to talk about so bad. And I forgot. But the freaking love scene when she became a vampire was so cringy and hilarious. Okay, so Edward comes up behind her. He's trying to get it in, right away. And she, from the last time, when she was a human, he broke the bed and all that, but she was like, look, I'm about to take control. And she hopped on top because she's a vampire now. She's about to tell him what's wet. And then we see this picture of Edward, right? Look at Edward. Now, I watched this video, and it was by Honest Trailers, whatever. Everybody, I'm sure people heard of it. And they started calling him Shovel Face. And I didn't see it until I saw this fucking stuff. Yes, Shovel Face. And how they expressed, she climaxed in the movie, and this is I don't know, PG-13 or whatever, but gross for these little kiddies to see. And this is how they showed the climax. Look at this, with the sparks and everything else, and look at her face. I was disgusted.
That's like that cliche sparks, the fireworks go off when you get there. We don't need that. That's so cliche.
These are the sparks that didn't go off the first time at the honeymoon because she wasn't feeling it. And now that she gained control, she was able to finally force her own orgasm. Because
that's really what it sounds like. She had to do it herself. I got this. And see, I didn't even think about that. Now I'm thinking about it now. It really sounds like that. She was like, you know what? I'll handle it. I got this.
But yeah, so as a whole, I didn't like the movie. So I personally am going to have to give this movie 1 and 2, by the way. A thumbs down.
I will give it, since we did both parts, I will give it a thumbs up only because I liked the second one better than the first part. I did like the wedding in the first part. I thought the wedding was very nicely done, but I did hate that the first part stretched the pregnancy. It was too much of the pregnancy. And while I get, it was like, yeah, but this baby's doing it. It was like, all right, but women have kids every day, B. Like, that's the way I was just like, okay, like every mom will tell you a lot of pregnancies don't, well, you might feel shit pregnant. Like you might feel horrible and you feel like and ugly and all types of stuff. We didn't need an hour and a half worth of this. Like we didn't need an hour and a half worth of her being pregnant. So I didn't like that part. I did like the second part better only because we got to kind of see certain things wrap up with like people's like arcs finish. Like as a writer, it's like good to like I like character arcs to come to full circle. So for me, I liked it. I did like when they did the credits, they literally put all the important people, not the extras, but all the people that ever had like a character name. They put all the names in the movie at the end, and I thought that was pretty cool to like wrap it up. Like here's everybody from movie one. Even when they changed Victoria to the next Victoria and they showed both of them back to back, like, okay, this is the first Victoria, this is the second Victoria. So they literally put everybody that was ever in the cast that was like a named person from movie one to the last. And the very last three was Jacob, Bella, and Edward. And what they did for the credits for that was they showed the flip page of the book. So when we were first introduced to Bella, when we first introduced Edward, when we first introduced Jacob, and then they showed their like little transformation from movie one to the last one. So I thought it was pretty cool to wrap it up.
Okay,
this is like thank you to the fans. This is it. Like we're done. So that was pretty nice. That I like that they like played the song that was like the 1,000-year song, and it was nice to have like this is it. Like it's the finish up wrap up. So I liked it. But so I'll give part one a thumbs down, but I'll give part two a thumbs up because I definitely like part two better than part one. Part one just dragged a little too much for me. With the whole, I was just like, we don't need this much for like the pregnancy. We didn't need this much time, effort on it. So, yes, I got like a thumbs down for both parts.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. I'm glad you all joined us and stayed with us this whole time. I'm not sure how to do the plugs, and since Chris has not made a second appearance,
which he's going to get flipped for.
Yes.
So let me see. I know tonight after SmackDown. I gotta find these photos. Hold on, guys. I feel very unprepared right now. I don't know where the banners and stuff are. Okay, so here's the first one. So tonight, right after SmackDown, you have to join Big Daddy Cool, Steven Pena, and Chris, the executive consultant, and some guests as they discuss what happened on SmackDown immediately after. I know tomorrow. Hold on. I cannot find it, guys. Sorry. I know he played the trailer for it already. Tomorrow, I know you guys are doing the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
And that is Chris. That is C the Superior. I don't know who else is on that with you guys. So
I think the next Doctor is coming back for another episode, and the Mystery is going to be there as well. So it's going to be a full cast.
Okay, I know Sunday, right after NXT in your house, there is supposed to be a review show, I believe. I'm not sure what time it ends just yet. I know I'm totally messing up the promos for this, guys. Sorry. Monday Night Raw edition with me, Steven Pena, Big Daddy Cool, and Chris, the executive consultant. We will be doing that on Monday. On Tuesday, there will be Tech Talk. If there is no more blackout on social media, everything should be fine with that. There will be Tech Talk on there. We are also coming back for UPR Entertainment. We are doing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which, if anybody knows me, I love Twilight, but I love Harry Potter way more. So I'm like a diehard Harry Potter fan, Hufflepuff all day. We're doing Sorcerer's Stone, me, Chrissy, and whoever else is joining us. I am not sure yet. And then we have the NXT AEW review, I think, on Thursday. I'm totally messing up the order of this, guys. I'm totally sorry about that because Chris never made his appearance again. But Thursday night, I think, or Thursday afternoon, they will be doing NXT and AEW results show. I know Wednesday we're doing the Dark Side of the Ring episode 2, which is Bret Hart, the Montreal Screwjob. So there's a lot of shows coming up, guys. Join us. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining Chrissy. It was cool talking about one of my favorite movies, book series. It's pretty cool. So bye, guys.